Live mic?
Yeah. This is the adjustment for it. It should be okay now. But sorry about that.
I recognize this podium.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We hope you are comfortably getting seated as we prepare for our campus community update. You might notice behind me there's a slide, and if your vision is good, you'll see in the lower left-hand corner credit to one of our faculty members whose music we intended to play for you as an opening piece, but due to technical difficulties, you're not hearing the smooth sounds of Jeff Kashwa. So please pardon that omission. And with that, we have a lot of important information. So now that we have our quorum and we're explaining to students that this is a campus community update meeting going on, then let me introduce to you once again President Cheryl Roberts.
Well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to get my glasses on so I can see more clearly the words and remarks I have for you. But again, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to be with me. And for those of you who are viewing through the live streaming, I appreciate you taking the time to stay connected to the college because we have important work ahead of us. To honor your time, I put together some formal remarks to create a clear roadmap of the work that will define our college for years to come. There is an urgency in our work, so you will see us bringing colleagues on campus to help us be a little more fleet-footed in our work. I'm confident we can do this together with a coherent plan that we all understand, that we contribute to, and know how to execute on that plan every day when we come to work. So, let me get started. As I complete my 6th month at Shoreline, it's wonderful to look out and see so many faces and so many names that I now know of faculty, staff, students, and administrators. It's truly you who create the quality spaces and the learning that makes this such a wonderful place. I'm grateful for your patience with me because I want to get to know each one of you. May I? It's okay? I want to get to know each one of you and your story, and your stories really do matter to me. Again, thank you for your patience and also with the technical problems here. Maybe I should stand a little bit farther away, Larry? Okay, Larry's going to come up. Thank you.
I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit, but you have to be a little bit closer to the mic.
Okay.
Let's try it there.
Okay. I'm going to get more friendly with the mic, but I can't see my nose. That's a problem. Okay. All right. So when I spoke with you at Convocation, I said I would first be listening to you in the community. And I've been listening and learning a lot, and thank you again for your willingness to share your thoughts and feelings with me. One of the things I've been asked more often, and most often, is what is my vision for Shoreline? My response is this: it's not about my vision, it's about our vision and our community's vision and expectation, and that's what I've been listening for. At the heart of this question is the definition of leadership. As with any person called to leadership, people should hear the leader hearing them. For me, leadership is about articulating a vision, not about my personal vision, but one that comes from you and our community. It's about helping you do better what you love to do best, creating extraordinary learning experiences for our students so that they can succeed. I've been subtly asking folks both on and off campus about what matters to them and listening to what you want to create, because what I've learned is you create something grander than what I could ever imagine. Leadership is about helping the college take concrete actions to achieve that vision. Everyone needs to know where we are going and take very clear, deliberate actions to get there. Leadership is also about communication, not just talking, but also really listening, so that you have the experience of feeling heard. It doesn't mean that we'll always agree, but you will know that what you've said is important and has been considered thoroughly. Leadership is about working with you. No one, and I mean no one, has a corner on good ideas. And in these times, we can't possibly have all the information we need to make decisions. It's important to identify everyone's strengths and build on them and develop everyone so we can move the college forward. I see my unique role as the person who helps create the internal architecture that helps to create the plan for our shared vision. In that plan, it helps us to create the actions that help us live into more fully our shared view of the future. One of the things we'll talk about today is building a process for you to share those ideas and help us create the plan in very specific ways so that we can achieve our common destiny. This past fall, our Board of Education worked with me, the executive leadership team, and others on campus to create this year's college plan that will become a launching point for our strategic conversation. They outlined our 4 areas of focus to frame our work. We're about increasing enrollment, retention, and completion, leveraging community engagement, developing human resources and physical technical infrastructure, and a strategic plan. I'll share how we will move ahead in all of these areas, but first, let me provide a little bit of context. Those who've worked closely with me over the past few months already know this, but I'd like to share this with everyone. Place matters. Because students and their learning matters. They are at the heart of our work, and these are both our personal goals and our personal values that bring us to work each and every day. So what do I mean by place matters? Place is everything that contributes to the campus. It's our physical, it's our cultural, it's our personal, and it's academic. How we experience ourselves in time and place creates a sense of belonging, of affiliation, and inspires confidence in our students' ability to navigate their learning experience and claim it. It includes wayfinding, casual and social learning spaces where students, faculty, and staff intersect in the lives of our students. Shoreline has 50 years of remarkable history and has impacted the lives of tens of thousands of students who have gone on to better lives. It's a tremendous legacy, but learning can be hard on a physical environment. With the expert help of Bob Rail, his staff, and Executive Director Mary Kellerman, we're looking across the college for opportunities to create casual study and social spaces for students. We know not every student gets to the pub. Indeed, students in some programs never see or use any of our newest spaces. With some outside help from a designer, our goal is to create welcoming spaces across the campus available for all of our students. So when you start to see Bob, Mary, myself, and others poking around the campus, this is a work that is starting and beginning to create spaces for students so they can engage, learn, and succeed. Our campus culture must also be welcoming. Shoreline is known across the state for its multicultural investment and commitment to understanding and international education. That doesn't mean we're immune to intolerance and hate. And we have actually had several incidents during fall term and again this quarter that apparently were aimed at disrespecting and silencing several groups on campus. When one of us hurts, we are all diminished. And in those incidents, it calls us to renew our commitment and our vigilance. I'm proud of our initial response, but we have more work ahead of us. I, along with Vice President Bob Francis, hi Bob, there you are, and Vice President Stephen Smith, along with faculty, staff, administrators, and students, will begin a college-wide discussion toward the goal of creating a community standard regarding respect and support for everyone on campus. Our campus community embraces these values, and strengthening this defining value of the college requires constant attention and nurturing. I'm asking us to create something that we can point to every day and say, this is what we stand for. As these discussions unfold, I urge all of us to stand up and to get involved. So the greatest resource we have at the college, as you already know, is all of you. Each of you helps to create that special Shoreline experience that we're known for. So you're the secret sauce. You're what makes it special. Developing people is critical to our students' success, as you know, and supporting professional development and being intentional and strategic about who joins this college is among our most critical work. We took a step this past fall with the employee recognition that allocated about $200 either in cash or in professional development money in support of our staff. That was a one-time opportunity, and we must continue to look for other opportunities to support our employees. And so I've asked Vice President Stephen Smith to take the lead. We'll get some assistance too, and we've been talking with Bob Hughes, who's an associate professor and a dean at Seattle University. He also has a rich background in community colleges at Highline and South Seattle, and he's focusing his research on models of effective practice at community colleges, college faculty and staff development, as well as equity issues. And I know he's talked with many of you already in December. Bob will share his experience with us as we build our own framework for supporting the development of all of our colleagues and for bringing new talent to the college. All of this is in support of one goal, and really the reason why we're all here, and that's students and their success. At Shoreline, we're committed to providing quality teaching and learning for our students because deeply rooted in our work is this core idea. We nourish the world's deep hunger, and we expand the heart's deep gladness to find a life full of meaning and full of purpose. I believe we are successful when our students succeed. Shoreline is doing a good job. We're doing great work, in large part because of you and your willingness to examine and re-examine our methods, and more importantly, measure our outcomes. You are driven to do better. Under Vice President Francis, he's bringing together a group called the Student Success Coordinating Committee. The effort began in fall term with the revival of what was previously known as the Enrollment Management Committee. But this is more than just managing our enrollment. By focusing on what the college does to help students be successful, from the message we use to excite them to enroll, to the support services we build around them while they are here, to the great teaching and learning that supports them in and outside the classroom, Shoreline reinforces the notion that this is the place. And while we know a lot about ourselves, it's always helpful to add some outside perspectives and data so we can take more rapid actions to help better serve our students. So this past fall, we put out an RFP to get that perspective. We asked for help in understanding both our external and internal environments, identifying needs of our communities, and assessing the processes when students come to Shoreline. The goal is to build on our strengths so that we can be even better for our students. So today we are in the final phase of that RFP process, and I hope we'll be able to announce in the next few days our new partner. For the next two items, I'd like to introduce two others who are joining our work. First, Laura Rehrman has come to the college to forward our efforts on this as a special assistant to me around community engagement. We use that term, community engagement, because this is far more than just resource development. This is about asking our friends to walk with us on this important mission. Such a journey requires a guide who has been there before, and we've got one of the best in Laura. Next, we're going to ask Tom Massaros, who will come and speak about our strategic planning process, which you heard about last fall. He is the recent past president of the Alford Group and currently a senior consultant with them. He specializes in organizational and board effectiveness and has done a lot of work with our own board of trustees, our executive leadership team, and our board, our foundation board. And so he has a really deep working knowledge about our college and can help us develop the plan that will define our work for years to come. So it's clear that the context we set at the start of any endeavor helps put us on the trajectory for success. And I think we're on that trajectory. For me, strategic planning is setting that context. It requires deep listening through developing an architecture of engagement, and Tom's going to talk about that. It requires the courage to ask questions and to question the status quo with an expectation to offer solutions. It requires a focus on our core values. It requires us to define what it means to have a culture of caring, of achievement and student success. It requires us to rely on clear and penetrating strategic intent and promises to drive our decision-making. And it requires us to look at learning as learning as learning, which means we create alliances among all of our departments so that we see the value each has in moving our students forward. This is not a process to create a plan, but rather a plan that creates a process for guiding our work toward fulfilling our mission for which this college was created: transfer education, professional technical education, continuing education, and adult basic education. Now, let me ask Laura to come forward to share a bit about herself and the direction of her work with us. Laura Rehrman.
Thank you very much. I'm really thrilled to be here. As Cheryl said, I've been in the field of development. And then I ran into President Roberts. And for many of you who have had those run-ins with her, she is irresistible. And she said, I need your help. I need it now. Come on board. So because of her, because of these colleges, I am a profound believer in the power of our community college system. And my experience at Central, I'm sure, will be duplicated here. There is a fabulous staff and faculty at these colleges that have these students at their heart of their work, and the students are a gift all by themselves. So I'm thrilled to be here. My job, as outlined by Cheryl, is to build not just community engagement, but college stewardship. Now, college stewardship means we've got the dollars to do what we need to do to help the students, to build our programs, to improve our facilities. But it also means we have champions in the community, communities of Shoreline and Lake Forest Park, who know who we are, what we stand for, what we're trying to do, who our students are, and how they can help. And that's where we're going to be looking for them to step forward and help us get there. So when we engage our communities and ask for their expertise and help, they will step forward. And they will step forward with a winner. Shoreline Community College already has that status in this community. Well-respected, 51 years here of a launching site for people's education and careers. In this community, there are standards, and at this college, for excellence in education and in student success. We can build on all of that by simply stepping outside of our college boundaries, inviting people in to see who we are, and creating those champions who can repeat our messages out in the community. And that's the drumbeat that we're getting in motion. As President Roberts says, place matters. Now, she talked about the place of this college, but the place of this community matters too. Shoreline, Lake Forest Park, its vision, its values, our 20 square miles, these values of these communities are reflected right here, and we need to go back out to those communities and tell them how and why those values are reflected here, and reinforce why we are such an important institution in this community. And that's my job, is to help make that happen. So there's a long and proud legacy to build on here. This college is held in high regard, but it also isn't as clearly understood like many large organizations. We have lots of work to do inside. So to step outside is a piece of work in itself, and you all don't have all that much time to do that, and our students don't either. So this is another place where we get community leaders to tell those stories for us. As Special Assistant to the President for Community Engagement and College Stewardship, I have 4 objectives. So number 1 is to identify and involve community leaders in a comprehensive fundraising campaign, number 1. Number 2, to begin that campaign to raise capital and scholarship needs for our students in our campus and you all as faculty and staff. Number 3 is to implement, and I'll be working with Jim Hills in an ongoing community engagement plan so that our messages that are coming out of communications and marketing are echoed through the foundation and through our philanthropy and make sense to the larger community. And then number 4 is to build relationships and assess community needs by reaching out to community organizations, increasing the partnerships we already have. We have a long and proud history of those partnerships. My job is to amplify that even further. Our Shoreline Community College Foundation is ready to go. There was a retreat last week, or a couple of weeks ago. Tom Massaros, who you're going to hear from in a moment, facilitated that retreat. People are on board on that foundation board to help move this college to the next level, to raise the scholarship dollars, to raise the capital dollars we need to reach the vision that we have, we aspire to. I can't do this alone, though. I need the network of relationships that all of you have. I mean, how many of you live in Shoreline and Lake Forest Park? So you know about 2,000 more people than I do. And that is going to be really important. You know the heartbeat of the community. You know who are the leaders in the community. You know who cares about education. And I will look to you for your help in making those introductions for me, for President Roberts, and for other members of our leadership teams. You know, the time is now, and the time is urgent. You know, many of you have been here many years. You see the facilities that need improvement. So the time is now, the time is short, but this is the opportunity we have to step forward. We have a president who is talking about community colleges. That's a huge boon to us. We have a terrific new president on this campus who is very well thought of already in her few short months here. And we have the reputation that you all have built over 51 years here. And that gives us a launching pad, I think, for great success. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you as I walk around campus. Look forward to talking to you about the things you know about this college. And none of my work gets done unless it's aligned with what Tom's going to talk about next, our strategic planning. Because the work I do is to build out what we aspire to in a strategic plan. Tom, it is your turn. Thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon. It's sure fun for me to be on this campus and again to be working with President Roberts. I was fortunate that Laura Rearman is the woman that introduced the two of us probably 10 years ago. President Roberts called Laura when she was at Group Health and said, hey, I need to have someone to come down and help us with our foundation and help us with some leadership issues we have at Chemeketa Community College. And I was fortunate that Laura remembered who I was. And so she made the introductions, and it was interesting. I was just, reading some local news, and I saw that Shoreline had announced a new president. I said, oh, look at this, it's Cheryl Roberts. Imagine that, she's coming back to town. This will be great. And the next day, I get an email. That was in August. That was before she started. I think it really was before the day. She says, hey, I need you to come work with me on our board retreat. And so that engagement started, and as we really looked at those 4 aspects that she was talking about, the future of this college, one of the items was strategic planning. And so today I'm just going to share with you a little bit of the process that we're going to follow and how that process is going to unfold, and the fact that you will be engaged in that process. And there's the graphic is there. So, doesn't this look like a busy graphic? How does this really happen? I got to get my cheat sheet out here and talk about it a little bit. I'm a firm believer that we could take maybe 6 or 7 people out of this room, go off for a weekend retreat, and come back with a strategic plan. We could do that. And guess what? Those 6 or 7 people would own that plan, but none of you would own that plan. It would always be the plan of that group of people. And so that doesn't help the college. It doesn't help any organization to do that. So what we've put together here is a process where we're going to create a task force, and that task force really will be the leading group to engage all of you in the thinking that you can bring to the table. In fact, take the principles that Laura Rearman was just talking about in terms of the connections that all of you have, the thoughts that all of you have. The people in this room know this college better than ever I'll know this college, and at this point, you know this college better than President Roberts knows this college. So how do we take the knowledge that you have, learn about where we're at, and then discover where we want to go in terms of the excellence that we want to bring to education in this community, and then figure out how we're going to get there. And this chart really explains that. So we're going to be forming a task force, and so the first part of that chart talks about the formation of that task board and looking at the engagement of that group and making sure we have a good representation of what that task force is going to look like. And they're going to meet 4 or 5 times during the course of between now and the month of June. And as they meet, you see those little work groups at the top. We're going to be engaging work groups on some specific topics. And those topics are going to range from academic studies to facilities to human resource issues that we may have, or other things that are associated with how we fulfill our mission and vision for the future. And those work groups then will report back to the task force of what their thinking is. And along the way, we also need to engage the Strategic Planning and Budget Committee and the College Council so that they have input in this process along the way. And that'll be accomplished as we go through this plan. And you see there at the bottom of the page in March of April, we're going to have college-wide open forums where we'll come back to this group as a large group, share some thoughts, have you in small groups around tables, have some discussions about that, record what those discussions are, and bring that back to the task force. So as we move down this path, there's an engagement and an understanding and a tapping into the knowledge base that's sitting around this room today and for others that are listening in as we pipe this out to the campus. So once we have a draft plan, then we're going to move that over to an external advisory committee and bounce that off the community. And Laura's going to be able to help us recruit that because she's going to know everyone in Shoreline by then. I'm going to put her to the test. So, and we'll have a couple meetings with that group, and you can see the list of names underneath there of the people that will engage and the variety of folks that will be involved with that. Once we get some feedback from that, we'll make some revisions to that plan, and then what are we going to do again? We're going to bring it back to all of you and have you then make some comments on that. And where did we hit the mark, and where did we miss the mark? Are we on the right path? And if we've done everything right to that point, we should not have missed any marks. We should have the marks all in place, but we just want to make sure that we do before we give it to the executive leadership team for their final approval. They will make a recommendation to our president. She'll take that then as the president of the college to the Board of Trustees as a recommendation from our strategic plan. Now that seems complicated, but the real hard work will happen after we do that, because the real hard work is going to be implementing that plan and be able to take the goals that we've set for ourselves over the next 4 or 5 years and then start working down that path and making sure that we really fulfill the mission that this college has to serve this community. So I know Laura said that this is important for Shoreline, it's important for Lake Forest Park, but as I look at the makeup of your college campus, you serve a much broader audience than that. In fact, to a certain extent, you're serving probably all of Western Washington, if not part of Eastern Washington, with students that may come from there. And just think of the service that you're providing to the Pacific Rim and the numbers of students that come to this campus. And so the impact you have is beyond your charge. You have a large, large impact. And how do we make sure that we fulfill the promise of that impact? And I think this plan will help us achieve that. So I do want to acknowledge 2 other people that are important for this, and I have to get my notes out to make sure I say their titles correctly. I'm fortunate that President Roberts has asked Stuart Triple, who's the Executive Director of Business and Student Support, to be the key staff person that I'm going to be working with. And he'll help me staff this, the committee, the task force that we're putting together, give me insights to understand the culture of this college so that I don't make any recommendations that are outside the box, that I make sure that they're there and they fit your culture of who you are and what you're about. And then also Beta Maring is going to be working with us, who's the institutional assessment and director of institutional assessment and data management. And so having those 2 people really as our key advisors moving forward will really help us do this right. And make sure that we're on the straight and narrow in terms of putting this together. So I look forward to meeting many of you around this place. I've actually met several of you already. And it'll be fun for me to be the facilitator of this process and help you achieve the things that you want to do. So I'm open to any questions, if I may do that. President Roberts, do people have questions about this process and this complicated chart that I have behind me here? Going once? going twice. Seoul, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you.
We're just speeding along. It's 1 o'clock. This is good on a Friday. Maybe we'll have some found time, but we want to leave a lot of time for questions. So I want to thank Laura and Tom for all the work that you've been doing. And I'm mindful of the lyrics. I think I sang them to you, but I won't impose that on the rest of you. But I'm a real big musical person, and so I was thinking about the sound of music. And there's a wonderful little song that comes up between Captain Van Trop and Maria when they fall in love. And she says to him, "Somewhere in our youth or childhood, we must have done something truly good to deserve both of you to come alongside us. We are so fortunate to have your skill, your passion, and all the contacts and all the things that you'll help us to move forward, not just now, but into the future." So please help me give them a round of appreciation and applause for that. Thank you. And I want to thank you for saying yes every day to coming to Shoreline. I want to share a little story with you. Now I feel a little more like I can take a breath a little bit, because I was worried that my comments would take 35 minutes, and so since it only took 15. I want to share a little story about something that occurred while I was away in Asia, meeting our partners. And it was very early in the morning, and we were in immigration right before we got into Phnom Penh in Cambodia, the capital city. And as you probably have known me, I've been unsupervised a few times. I've been out around campus talking, and I was a little bit unsupervised. Phu Bo was not commanding me as he does in such a naughty way, but and I think that Diana was off somewhere else, but there was a gentleman in front of us, and I was engaging him, and he was from Seattle, and was like, "You're from Seattle?" "Well, we're from Seattle," and and he said, "Well, where do you work?" I said, "Well, I work at Shoreline Community College." And can you guess what the next thing he's going to say? He was an alum. He was a graduate of Shoreline Community College. We had to go all around the world to find an alum who was very successful. 40 years ago, he graduated. Yes, I think we can, yeah. Yes, always. And he was talking about what Shoreline meant to him. And I shared this story because of the rich legacy. And he talked really passionately and tenderly about the faculty, the staff. People came alongside him. He didn't know he was really capable of doing college-level work. He went on to get a degree in mechanical engineering, and now he owns his own firm that sells grain all over the Pacific Rim. And so it was really great. His name is Dominic Lee, and we've been corresponding, and I'm hoping he's going to come back out to campus to reconnect with us. But again, I just want to share with you, that's the joy of my job. I get to hear those stories, and I just want to share them with you because you're the one, as I said, you have the secret sauce. You're the one who are creating those experiences every day by the decisions you make to focus on students and what they need to create an engaged, wonderful learning environment. So I want to just talk a little bit about what's I know on your hearts, and the next question is Olympia. What's happening out in Olympia? And yes, the legislature is in session and is likely to be there for quite a long time. And if any of you are wondering where I am, you can probably most likely think I am in Olympia. As you know, they have some big things to think about around our budget, and of course we've got a huge capital project that's on a list, and we want to make sure that it gets funded and we can begin the planning for our new health sciences classroom complex, which Laura's going to help us with. As you know, we have a $3 million match, but we have to get that project funded first, so there's a lot of chicken and the egg pieces that have to be in place. And yes, there has been an incredible prudence here at the college. And so we are in really good, solid financial stead because of the things that you have done in previous years, and I don't want to take that lightly. There was a lot of angst and personal strife and a lot of things that happened for us to have that financial footing, and I'm really grateful for that. And it puts us in a great position to build on this strategic plan for the future. The only question is, what will our response be to the vagaries of Olympia? And I have to say that I can say this with confidence and assuredness. that we have a great platform upon which to address whatever the legislature has to put before us. So again, I thank you for the work that you've done in previous years. I want to say in closing that with unshakable certainty, that through the engagement of ideas and dialogue, the work we do together profoundly affects how students see themselves and the possibilities of their lives. I can think of no other college that can rise to this great challenge than Shoreline Community College. We truly are the right people with the right heart to make this happen. So as I said in fall convocation, let's get up, let's stand up, get on our feet, and let's make it happen. So with that, I want to open it up for any questions that you may have. And I know many of our executive team, I think all of our executive team are here, including Lori, who can make sure that hi Lori, keep us on track. So if you have any questions, please, I'm open to them, or we could go about our day. Wow. Yes, Tim. Are you noticing I said his name? I'm still learning last names, but Tim, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shouldn't give me a microphone, that's bad. No, my question was, you mentioned earlier we've had some issues around with some of our students on sensitive issues where we've had defacement of posters and other things going on. And I kind of want to know, what are we kind of looking to do about that?
Yes, that's a very good question. So next February, I think it's February 2nd, I'm pulling together some folks from CDAC, I'm already in the acronyms now, the CDAC, and some other folks who came together in fall term when we had the initial incident around the Project Pride and the Queer Fear Film Festival. And then, if many of you know, we had another situation with defacing and some acts of hate against the Muslim Student Association. And first and foremost, our initial response was to make sure that those students felt safe and wanted to get it out to the whole college community that this was going on, and this is unacceptable. This is not who we are at Shoreline, and we have no tolerance for that. We have tolerance for the conversation, absolutely, but not for making anyone feel diminished here or disrespected. That is not okay. At the same time, we've got to get ourselves letting people know what we stand for. We know what we said we don't stand for, but we have to let students know, and our visitors and our vendors and all of us who come, what we stand for and what we stand alongside our students. And so there's a couple things we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at initially a campaign to let people know, students and staff, and I'm looking at Stephen. We're going to pull that together quite rapidly, so probably with pins and things like that. I might have you come up and talk a little bit, but to let people know what we stand for around creating a respectful, inclusive environment. So that's number one. Then we need to do some things to create a system at the college. So in the best sense of institutionalizing something, create policies around respectful college community so people know what we stand for, and then create language that goes up around all of our college so students know what it means to be in a respectful community. And those words we will craft, and we will engage the college to look at them, and then we're going to put them up everywhere so people know what it means to be a part of this community at Shoreline. And then we are going to be looking at, and students are telling us, our staff and our students, we all need more coming together to discuss and to learn together around cultural sensitivity and around the work. And so we're going to be putting something together around that. Not training. I know that seems really light touch, but deep conversations, because when we know people's stories, it's hard to hate them. And then, so we're going to be looking at pedagogies around story, and we're going to be looking at expanding our ability to provide the kind of environment where our students feel honored in every interaction that they have here, both in and outside the classroom. So we're going to be working on that, and I'm really pleased that you asked that question, because it's not, we don't, and I should also say we want to get together a an initial response so we know what to do if it happens, but then we want to get out in a more systemic way what we stand for. So we're going to be doing that, and we hope to get that completed by fall term. But the most important thing is this campaign that I talked to you about. So everyone knows when they see whatever that symbol is, what we stand for, and we're hoping to get everyone to wear it and to talk about it. The other thing is I'm hoping that when we have conversations, which we had a really rich one, Black Lives Matters, we have the global affairs coming up, that we can talk about what we value in terms of conversation at the college, and that these are rich forums for us to talk about things that are on our hearts, and that we don't have to resort to defacing and these threatening acts of violence that have been against certain groups on our campus, which again is just unacceptable. So thank you, Tim, for that question. Wow. Oh, Amy, yes. I'm so glad you do. Thank you.
The other Amy. Oh, well, I have a private anecdote to tell you that I could tell the whole.
Sure, please, please. You know,
Well,
we're all one.
I'll save that. It's about The Sound of Music. But
Oh.
in any case, my question was, can you share with us what is the best thing you have experienced so far in your work as president in the last 6 months?
Oh, thank you. Wow, there's so much. So I'll talk about inside the college and outside the college, if that's okay. So inside the college, I have to tell you, I felt already a part of Shoreline. There's not one moment where people haven't been so kind to me and made me feel as though I was the right choice, and maybe I wasn't, but thank you for making me feel that way. I feel like I have a role at the college, but I really want to know your role and the stories and the things that you shared about yourselves. The personal stories have meant so much to me. I'm getting emotional. Thank you for making me get emotional. I really love you. I feel like I have my life back, and I'm really energized about where we can go together and creating the dialogue. I want to share with you a conversation we had yesterday with folks who are passionate about social equity, about globalization, internationalization, about multiculturalism, and about environmental stewardship. And I just felt there was this moment. We're going to go away to a conference in early February, but there was this moment of unifying the things that we really care about. And I feel really fortunate to be able to bring that conversation together and to have it and to see where it leads us as part of our strategic directions potentially. And just having people excited. I got an email saying, what are we going to call ourselves when we go to the conference? And wanting to read together and to bring these big, bold ideas back to all of you to consider. And that to me was sort of a moment that just brought joy to my heart. So I want to let you know every day I come with joy to be here. I feel the excitement of all of you. I look over at Larry, who's been here 42 years, and I've been here 160 some days. And, you just love it here, and I'm just grateful. Students are great. I mean, just sometimes I have unsupervised moments where I usually tell Lori where I am because I take my phone with me and I get these precious texts like, you have someone, you better get back here. But I was a little unsupervised yesterday, and I found myself a little bit early from my meeting over in athletics, and so I went over to science and just talk and hearing this. What excites faculty and what excites staff about working with students, you're the best. You're just absolutely the best. I feel very fortunate. I'm at the right college at the right time. So outside, as Laura was saying, people love us. It's just great. They see us and the quality of our teaching and learning. They talk of us with such high regard. They tell me about their students and how important it is. I was having dinner last night with the Consul General from Taiwan, Andy Chen, and he was talking about how he hopes to be invited back in his 3 times he's been to the college, and how exceptional we are and how we've inculcated this whole global internationalization and multiculturalism, and he hasn't seen it anywhere else, and how I talked to another couple who was there, and they're talking about Running Start and how one of their nephews has gone through it at Shoreline. I mean, really, it's everywhere I go. There's Shoreline everywhere. So, and that was just really great. And then, of course, our public officials want to come alongside us, and that's why this strategic plan is so important. They want to know what they can do to come alongside us. And so, the clearer we can get on that, the better. And again, I told you shared the story about Dominic Lee, which was just wonderful. And I hear them all the time. So it's those moments of the story that I think have touched me so much and continue to confirm that I made a good decision, and I hope you feel like you made one in me. So thank you. Can I share one thing about the strategic plan? Because no one's rolled their eyes. Even though I was looking down, I could feel any eye rolling while I was reading. I want to let you know that, and I've shared this before, so those of you in College Council, please forgive me, but the reason why I really believe in the strategic plan, it allows all of us to come together and know what we care about clearly, and then figure out how to achieve it over a period of time. And I don't know if you can imagine sort of a jar with sand. You've got sand and you've got rocks. Well, we want to make sure that we put the big rocks, the big ideas that we want to accomplish every year before us, because the sand is all the operational things we absolutely must do. There's teaching that has to go on, there's registrating, there's counseling, there's advising, there's enrolling. I mean, there's taking care and maintaining our facilities. I mean, all those things are really important, but if we put that in first and not the big ideas, then we don't really have a chance to move forward. It also allows us to know what our direction is and a common shared vision of what's important to us. I often say that every year we have about 16 to 18 weeks to do important work. We have a 10-week quarter, right? About 2 weeks to get into the quarter, about 2 weeks to get, finish up and wrap up the quarter. So it leaves about 6 weeks in the middle to do this really important work. And if we're not clear about what it is, then the sand, all the operational things get, kind of can consume us, which of course are important, but aren't sufficient to helping us to achieve our really bold idea of being world class in student success and community engagement. So I'm really excited about it because we're not going to have 96 things we're doing. We're going to have 4 or 5 big ideas. And then what do we need to do at the college level and all the way down to the unit and the division level. So all of us every day when we come in and turn on the computer and read day at a glance, which I love, day at a glance, we can then decide what we should be doing that's going to help us move forward. So that's really what this is. It's going to be a living document. It's not going to be something that we throw into a nice cupboard where it's going to be a really living and a vibrant document. So I know I'm kind of a wonk about stuff like this, but I'm excited, I hope you are, to have the conversation and dialogue. So, yes, Andy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One of the 4 areas of focus outlined by the Board of Trustees this fall, it mentioned about developing human resources and physical and our technical infrastructure.
Yes.
Can you explain what that is?
Sure, and I might have Stephen come up and talk with me as well. Part of that deals with how we bring people in and recruit folks. So I'll talk about the human resources piece, and I'll talk about the other technical infrastructure piece. We know that we serve a very diverse student population, and we want to make sure that we are consciously thinking about how we go about and recruit folks to our college to ensure that we are creating the widest catchment for folks who come to work here. So that's where Bob Hughes is going to come and work with us, as well as when the students were saying around cultural awareness and multicultural education, how can we, through a student's eyes, make sure that we are well versed in supporting them and their journey here on our campus so they feel respected and regarded and honored for the unique and distinctiveness that they bring and their individuality. So we're going to be looking at all those things from when a person thinks about it coming to us in terms of the hiring, recruiting process, all the way through to when they get here and their orientation and learning about who we are and what we stand for. And then for all of us who've been here for periods of time, ongoing common experiences that will connect us in ways around a common learning experience around the things we value, which are, cultural, multiculturalism, and internationalism, globalization, sustainability, all those things, and make it come alive. So I'm really excited about that because having a common educational learning experience will help us even be closer as a college. So that's on that piece. Did I capture that? Oh, I got a thumbs up from Stephen. So on the infrastructure piece, which I'm sure you're very, very excited about, as I said, being here 50 years with tens of thousands of students who come through every year over 50 years puts a lot of wear and tear on our infrastructure, our physical infrastructure. And so we're going to be looking, starting on Monday, so you'll be seeing myself and Bob and Mary and a few other of us going around with our consultant, looking at the casual physical space of the college where students find themselves, how they interact with it. And we'll be putting together work groups, and we'll be putting together opportunities for people to comment, but we want to create a thematic experience of wayfinding and space finding at the college so that when they're in certain parts of the college, they know where they are, they know what's happening there. And when they're here, they have a certain vibe, and it's all connected, and it feels integrated. So we're asking for that big body of work. So then, as we get money over the next 5 years, we can begin to roll out both the casual space infrastructure as well as the classroom infrastructure and learning environment that happens there. Because when we were in Asia, we saw a lot of really great things that were happening, and we thought, wow, would it be great if we could create some experimental classroom experiences so faculty could play with different things than just chairs and tables? What if we had soft furnishings in them, and things were a little bit more on tablets and driven from that. And so we want to do some things to modernize, not just modernize for the sake of modernizing in quotations, but to make them such that students are engaged and the discipline becomes alive. And so Bob's he's staring, he's looking help. He's nodding. This is good, right? Yes, yes, yes. They're all thumbs up. So we're really excited about that, and we're going to be rolling that out over a period of time, but we're going to make a big investment. We want to be competitive, to be honest, with our neighboring colleges, and there's some things that we can do to improve that space. We cannot wait for 4 years. That building won't be built, even if everything goes well, for 4 years, and that's a minimum of 2 cycles of students. So we want all of our students to have a good experience, and all of us who are working here to have a good experience of learning here. So we want to make sure our physical space matches the quality that happens in the classroom. So we're excited about developing a plan, and then, again, working on it every year to see it all come together. Hope that helped. All right. Yes. Yes, it's not Faith. Yes. International.
Oh, thanks. Hi, I'm Faith from Workforce Education.
Oh, Faith, that's right. You have your hair up.
Yeah, Dan Five's.
I was going to say Faith, but I didn't want to I should have just
No,
done it.
it's okay. Just teasing.
I knew it was Faith, but I was. I've not seen you with your hair up. See, that's another thing.
Oh,
you really
yeah.
confused me when you changed facial hair up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Faith.
So,
I'm listening.
on your agenda, one of the items is people development. You said you want to develop staff, which is awesome. And I have a question.
Yes.
For you as a leader of an organization, I see I have been Shoreline for 1 year, so it's not super long. But what I observe is that in our campus, we have the situation that we have that one person who does that one thing for the entire campus. For example, Grace Schultz, I'm under the impression that she's the only graphic designer for the entire school. Pauline Simon, she handles all of the account payable or receivable for the entire school. So I think I'm under the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm under the impression that we have that one person who does that one task for the entire campus. So for the direction of staff development, do you want people to become specialists who specialize in that one thing, or do you like your staff to be more like generalists and diversified in their skill sets? Like, where do you see, because just where do you see the direction of staff development? Do you want more specialists on campus, or do you want more generalists? Like, because if you want more generalists, like this is not a suggestion, but
Sure.
I think maybe at one point far in the future there needs to be some kind of reorg, like in the way that the school operates. Just a thought.
Yes, thank you. So it's a both and, I think. We need folks who are specialists. Grace is wonderful. We have Walter, who's in student leadership, who's been working. But what we don't want to have is a whole lot of uncoordinated, that's not right. What's the word? Disconnected work being done, so it doesn't create a thematic hole for our moving forward to the community. So with that said, I think, of course, if someone says, I'm doing this job, but boy, I have a real passion for doing this, then we want to nurture that. And there's lots of ways that we can do that. We have actual programs. I've had experiences where people started off here, but they went back to school and said, I really want to be the photographer for the college. And all of a sudden, they could do that. So yes, we want both and, but we do need folks who are absolute, specialists in the work that they do. What I'm hoping, and one of the phrases I said, is that we want to make sure that all of our departments know what they're doing, so that, let's say you make an efficiency in one part of our college, but that efficiency makes another part ineffective or inefficient. So we want to make sure that, and this is where is Dawn? There's Dawn. We're going to be talking about lean, about making sure that we understand how we're really interconnected in ways that we may not know on face value. And so that's where being more of a generalist, of understanding a little bit about what other people are doing. So when I'm thinking about improving my own area, I know that and I know when to call for their assistance. So again, a little bit of both, I think, but I think mostly around departments that intersect each other, we really have to know what they're doing. So we're going to be doing a little bit of both of those things through a process called Lean, which is really helping us be efficient, to get rid of the things that waste time, that students feel like are just unproductive, or just, making me check a box, which I don't need to, so that we can add more value to our work experience, but more importantly, to students' experiences of being here at Shoreline. So, wow, 2 minutes before 1:30. One question? One more question? Yes, of course. I love suggestions. Thank you.
Your Joyce.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm hoping Dr. Roberts will continue to have unsupervised time, and maybe like a coffee hour kind of thing, where there would be opportunity for people to stop by and get to know you and talk about the things that are on their mind in regards to the college.
well, we're going to be doing that. It's going to be conversation.
So I guess I need to befriend Lori and
Well,
tell her.
no. This is so the last thing I'll say is that there's going to be a conversation with Cheryl coming forward. We were going to try to do it in fall term, but there were so many people that wanted to talk with me. That 100 days is such a blur. But there's going to be a conversation with Cheryl. It's going to be a little bit structured. We're going to have about 25 people or so, including students. And it's an opportunity for you, one, to get to know each other, but to you to give me input around things that I really need some advice about. So it's really great. It's about time. It's going to be during the lunch hour. And I think you're going to like it. It's informative, because I get a chance to get to know you, and you get a chance to help me think through some big ideas that are happening at the state level or on campus. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. And thank you all for coming. I know you could have sat at your desk and streamed it. And for those of you who couldn't make it, thank you for, as I said, staying connected to the college, because we need your voice all in. So again, thank you, and have a great weekend. Go Fins. Go Seahawks. Thanks.